It is now 5:30, calling the meeting of the regular Board of Directors of the Netarts-Oceanside Sanitary District to order. The first, you already announced that this was being recorded. The first item is approval of the agenda. Can I have a motion to approve the agenda?
Who's speaking?
You never identified yourself.
John asked for approval of the agenda.
This is Jerry. I moved to approve the agenda.
I'll second that. Jim
That
Carlson.
was Jim.
Okay, you were pointing.
This is Aaron. It's a resolution. We need to change the resolution number. It is an error
Okay,
That's it.
to 24-05.
There's only 5 of us.
Okay.
We're having a sidebar conversation. Don't put it in minutes.
an error was made under item 11B, probably my error, that it should be resolution 2405 and not 2505. So if you make that one change. And with that, all in favor of accepting the agenda as written with that one change, say aye.
Aye.
All right.
We have no guests this evening. No public comments. Any board questions, comments, or discussion at this time? There being none, the next item is review of the minutes of August 15th, 2024, regular board meeting minutes. Motion to accept the minutes.
Your turn.
So moved. This is Jim.
Jerry seconds.
Okay, any questions or discussion? All right, this is John. Pages 1 and 5, this goes to Jim's comments about setting aside some time to discuss the operations summary. We didn't really come to any conclusions, and I don't know if it warrants any further brief discussion at this time. I don't know, Jim, if you have any thoughts.
Well, I know that it's mentioned in Dan's report, isn't it, again?
The same summary.
Yeah. It says that'd be on page 5, third paragraph down.
But we're just talking about approving the minutes, right? Not actions taken or pursuing to the discussion.
Well, yes, you're correct.
Okay, so.
You're
maybe-
correct. So we'll approve the minutes. I just didn't want to let items slide as far as further discussion is concerned. But so,
when in the agenda will we discuss that?
well, I'll tell you what, as I think what Jerry's suggesting, we go ahead and approve the minutes and then we'll stop for a couple moments and
Okay.
talk about a couple of these thoughts
All right.
that are included. So all in favor of accepting the minutes as written, say aye.
All right.
Aye. All right. Now, going to the operation summary. you were saying that we needed to, it was something we need to work on, I think.
I think what I remember that he was saying was he would wanted to have an opportunity for a more extended discussion of our going forward than was usually allowed. It just
Correct.
accepting the report that we're getting. He wanted actually some specific time set aside or a workshop to discuss our future planning in more detail, our operations, our coming capital needs in a more holistic way and a more focused way. Does that?
Yeah, that's good. And so along with that thought, this is Jim, how far out does the facilities plan go time-wise?
The facility plan is on a 20-year horizon. And then it also takes in at the tail end anything that could be a future possibility. Expanding out towards Whiskey
Right.
Creek, expanding towards Radar Road.
Right.
So everything is based off a 20-year plan, Dan.
Yeah, that was my understanding.
Yes.
But at the same time, I think it would be good for the board to have those in their head. You know, what if expansions was needed, how would that go? And
Okay, so this, Dan, so Jim, the way it's set up is every 5 years, we go back and then we have a fresh look at it.
right,
Anything in the timelines might have got moved forward, became more of a priority. So it should be looked at refreshed every 5 years by the district, the board.
When was the last look?
We're coming,
2019?
yeah, we're coming up on the five.
Is this? Yeah, we're here.
Yeah.
Nice
and
time.
so rather than just kind of taking that information in, you know, in one meeting quickly, I guess there might be certain priorities that come up in a discussion that would be good to think about. And I think the due diligence piece, as far as the community goes, would like us to do that. The other part that came to my mind when I was thinking about this is a succession plan. So
Yeah.
Succession plan.
that's if Dan retires, what do we do? And approximately how far out do we know? If it's hard to find people that, you know,
I've never seen that in the facility plan, because that's,
well, there may be other things that come up
It's an
that would
important
not,
point. Certainly.
And I think I just, if you don't mind, I remember also commenting on, in response to yours, that it might be the kind of thing that we might like to have, like some kind of a workshop time, maybe a weekend day or something where we come in knowing that this is going to be our discussion. It's going to figure out how to organize a discussion, but it will be about our future.
Mhm.
And not only just going over the specifics of our current plan, but anything that is currently encompassing in our mind, or kind of like with your 5-year discussion. Probably incorporate it with that,
right,
but go beyond the logistics part of the discussion to the more general talk about where are things heading in Oceanside, you know, what other things might we do to get good peripheral vision on what we're going to face,
and
what surprises have there been that aren't yet encompassed in the plan.
I don't remember when we looked at the facilities plan the last time that there was much information about potential changes in technology that would throw our budget off.
so.
And that this is like could come from the EPA, let's say, you know.
So this, Dan, so to answer you, can't get specific on that. I mean, I don't know how to get specific on that, but technology changes rapidly.
Right.
And so the reason to look at it every 5 years, you can look at your facility plan sooner. If you see that technology is changing in, say, the next 12 months, well, it could affect the next fiscal year. We might want the engineer to take that portion and update that portion of the facility plan.
Uh-huh.
We can't look 20 years in the horizon, in the future and see what technology is going to to be then, we can usually only go off what's current or the current trend. If
Right,
that makes sense.
right.
So as far as staffing goes, it's probably the same thing as board members that serve. Because as you change board members, it's almost like changing employees to a certain extent. Because out goes the knowledge and history, and in comes somebody that has no background. So the institutional knowledge always suffers. And I think that's kind of what the basis you're going off of. So when we have a change of staff, probably even upper staff would probably be the most effect. I've been here 26 years. So I've seen every change in the last 26 years. I was part of the plans of the last 26 years. So a comprehensive facility plan is supposed to help the next generation, give them a guideline to go from and the ideas that the district had already set forth. It could change. I mean, technology could change. There's a lot of things that can change in 5 years. That's why, we need to look at that, but I'm not sure. I think they're two separate subjects, is guess where I'm going. I think the staffing is different than the facility plan because the facility plan is more the mechanical, structural,
Yeah.
stuff like that, growth, I really don't think you could marry those two together and have something comprehensive. I mean, it's not something you want to pay the engineers to put
Yeah,
together.
No,
No,
Yeah.
No, he's just talking about a place to discuss these topics, whether they're all go in one document or not.
it's,
A place
may
to
not
go.
be, end up
They should be
being,
workshops. No,
Yeah.
Jim, you're correct. Sorry, Jerry, they
No,
should
that's-
be at workshops.
yeah.
Yeah.
It's like, I used to, part of my work life was
Yeah.
strategic planning for nonprofits.
Mhm.
And I still do that, but on a volunteer basis. So that's where I'm coming from.
Right.
We need maybe to think in terms of not long-term planning, but short-term would be the 5-year.
And all this hinges on resources, planning ahead for the resources required for any of these changes.
Right.
So,
Okay, that's enough of that.
so what would you think of the idea if I put out an email in the next couple of days to the board members and to Dan and say, we'd like you to think about what should be included in a workshop so that next month, perhaps as part of the board meeting, we just go through some of those ideas and try to put a skeleton on what a workshop would be. And then we can figure out when to have the workshop and how long
Okay,
it should last, unless.
that sounds
does
good.
sound-
Yeah, this is Jerry, I think that's a very good idea, as long as we don't fall into the trap of trying to have the workshop while we're trying to plan the workshop. If
Yeah,
People get
yeah,
sidetracked
two-
into the
two
discussions
Yeah.
It's
instead
two
of
different,
listing the
exactly,
topics.
exactly. But yeah, I'd be more than happy to just put together an email since two of our board members aren't here tonight,
Perfect.
and we'll,
To let you flesh out your ideas too a little bit more. in
Okay.
writing.
Sure.
there's one of the things that I think we're faced with is the facilities plan is due, but there's several factors. The hotels coming up and some other things that we don't want to have the engineers do a facilities plan and then have to revise it because of information that we think is out there, but we don't have yet. I mean, I don't know what you said. They're talking about revising the facilities plan as on the list of things to do.
this stands. So yes, updating the facility plan is what current information is in it. The Lower Avalon, Glenwood, whatever you call it, future pump station, we finally purchased the property. It's already in there as a future project. That needs to be revised to move up to an actual type of date now. Okay, I think that was in there for like 15 years into the facility plan. Well, obviously, it's not gonna be in that far now. We're gonna have to move it because we purchased property and we're making plans for that. So that's just one item that, is in there. If there's anything new, the hotels were never in the facility plan. Okay, when the facility plan was written, those weren't even on the horizon. So, but I'm struggling with how much time to have the engineers spend on that, considering we don't have anything concrete yet
I think
on those.
this is Jerry. To me, thinking about that is different than what he's talking about. I mean, we want to talk about things and come to have some things gel before we even talk about then taking those to the engineer. And
Okay,
in the process of doing that, I think we'll figure out stuff that shouldn't go to them but it's like, you're already looking at what to tell the engineers to write. And we say, no, stop.
Oh,
We're just talking
sorry.
about what to
Yeah.
discuss.
Dan, no, Jerry, that's not where I was going.
Oh, I sounded
I
like that.
thought I was just giving him topics in the facility plan that we would talk about, that we want to give to the engineers to move forward on, not anything specific. That's something in the facility plan that will have to be moved up, but I think there's topics like that. We have the two hotels that aren't even in there that we need to discuss if they're becoming projects.
That may not ever be built.
And Cougar Ridge, wasn't really fully.
It wasn't even in there at all,
Yeah.
but it's.
So
well, it's
those are all good
in.
things to be fitting into our scope, the vision. And as a matter of due diligence so we're not caught off guard.
That's it. That's it in a nutshell. That's what I'm trying to do here.
Yeah, no,
Mr. Jim.
that makes,
So
it makes perfect sense.
Yeah.
So
So,
there's several topics I
Email.
would like to see in a workshop.
good.
Okay, good.
Okay, very good. One other item, on page 2 of these minutes, there was the Terracity sewer line, which runs on the border of my property. And you had mentioned to me the other day that it was found that it was all put in properly and properly authorized.
Yes.
So if Dan, if you want to further explain that at all.
Now,
Well, it's on page 2 of these minutes.
oh, but yeah, I know, but okay.
That was, there was a question about the language because it was whether the sewer line was legal, I think,
Yes.
was more the term than anything else. And you found out that it was.
Yeah, so it's Dan. We did find the approved as-built drawings for that. From when it was put in. So there's nothing in there that is illegally hooked up. It was all done correctly.
Okay, and where is she gonna put that in the minutes of this meeting? That's my point.
Well, we probably could have covered it under this reporting, but you're not gonna revise the minutes to state any of this.
No.
No.
They're
No,
done.
right, that's why I'm trying to think, we're getting ahead of ourselves, is my point.
Okay. All right, I'll save the final one comment for later on. So let's go ahead and move on then.
I was reading mine.
We'll sort out where these are all gonna go. It will work. All right. So we have the August 31st financial statements. Can I have a motion to accept the financial statements?
This is Jerry, I would move to accept the financial statements.
John, I second. Discussion.
I haven't had time to go over this, but is there anything that you might want to particularly call to our attention, Dan?
Currently, no. I mean, under page 6, you'll see the red, but we're still waiting. That would be under the debt service. I think we're still waiting to get funds in. The other funds are carrying basically, but we are not negative, but we are negative as far as the budget numbers there. Okay. And I didn't see anything else to call attention to.
All in favor of accepting the financials, say aye.
Hi,
All right,
Aye. Next item is item 8, board audit, accounts payable for review.
what is the Springbrook Cloud Holding Company dues? $15,000.
This is Dan, I'll let Aaron answer that.
So this is there, and this is our yearly, but this is the upgrade to go to the cloud.
Okay,
Last year it was 8,000. Dan, last year it was 8,000. Now it's 15,000.
and we knew that.
We knew that.
Yeah.
You guys already approved it in the last one.
Now I remember the discussion. I remember my being cranky about it.
They kind of, so to speak, springed it upon
Oh
us.
my God. And they will brook no opposition. Okay.
Any further questions?
on this end, Jim,
If none, we'll move on to the district report.
Okay, this is Dan, the district report. As you can see, the treatment plant's running well within its permit limits. So all trucking has been here all week. We have cleaned the grease, we've cleaned the grits out of the wet wells at all of the pump stations. We're jet cleaning, we just finished jet cleaning some lines down in Netarts, Pearl Street. We re-inspected the line segment that we replaced a couple of years ago, where that sunken road is with the county. So they re-inspected that. There's nothing they reported, all looks good. The next one is I have no updated information as of 9/16 of any changes for the Oceanside Hotel project. So we're still waiting. We're still waiting to hear back from them. And the same thing for the one on Pacific Avenue.
Yeah, just the hotel project is in the middle of, it's submitted its plan to the county. It got sent back as incomplete. They were to reply, and I don't think they did. I think they don't think they met their deadline, so I'm not sure.
That's my understanding.
And I know that, well, no, okay. I was gonna say there's at least a 6 months delay before they can do it again, but that's only where they've been denied. This wasn't denied, it's just
incomplete.
So
Right.
we don't know. We have had no word what's going on with that. Sarah, I think, is going to be showing up at the Oceanside Neighborhood Association meeting this Saturday, and maybe we'll get some more information on that, on the status of that.
Okay.
Sarah Absher.
So this is Jim. In the line that says in I don't know what page number this is, the first page of your report. It does appear that the possible flow increases could require pump station modifications to accept the change in pump size, control panel, electrical load, etc. Those are iffy words.
Well, this is Dan, they're iffy words because until they move, we have some work done for House on the Hill, that project.
Okay,
They've supplied us with fixtures and stuff like that. What's still holding that up is something to do with the cafe/restaurant and parking. So they're at a stop right there. We can't, West Tech can't finish any of that work to determine what capacity is going, we're gonna lose in that pump station.
but what it sounds like when you read it is that without mentioning Kirk's Cabins, that it's a high probability that we're gonna have to increase the pump station, correct?
Yes. It's a high probability just from the flow data that we, potential flow data that we've received from House on the Hill.
So
So there's not a lot of room capacity left in our pump station for another larger hotel project.
so my question is just so I get it straight, because I've had some interest out in the public. Who pays for the engineering and who pays for the upgrade in the system?
Assuming there's gonna be one.
So this is Dan. So if there is one, the costs are usually passed on to the developer for engineering costs. So as the engineers take in the information, they bill us, we bill that same amount to the developer.
And just to be clear, I think you or somebody asked that question last meeting. So we're getting repeat information that they're gonna pay for it.
Okay,
Now, there runs into an issue about percentages, especially when you have two separate developers. So that's something we've never crossed before here, but our engineers have. They've been able to calculate that out. So whether the developer's engineers agree with what our engineers would say, that will have to be worked out later once we get there.
And there's also the issue of, okay, we might have enough information to know what the House on the Hill project is gonna require. But until we have the information on what the Pacific Avenue project, the cabins is gonna require, we may not be able to give the first party what they need.
that's what I was saying.
So in a nutshell, to, I think, answer your direct question is, the district pays for it. And then we re-invoice that money out. We still pay our engineers. They're not under contract.
But the build out of the facility itself, pump station,
So
panels,
the build out, it's usually a percentage. You don't charge 100% to the developer. If the district's going to benefit for other parts of the community,
More capacity.
yeah. So there's a percentage difference. I don't know off the top of my head what that would be.
Okay.
At this point. I know that we're required by DEQ to keep a 30% reserve capacity for
right.
load. So this one's a little more complicated because it's gonna have to do with hydraulic loading, fluid, and it's gonna have to do with electrical loading. So it could probably get pretty expensive. We do have our SDC fund can pay for expansions like that. So it's not like you have to go back and put it on your monthly user fees or something like that.
Okay,
Just big picture, that's really the last two places of property in the area serviced by the pump station that major projects can go in, right? I
As
mean,
far as we know, unless
Everything else-
somebody,
yeah, everything else will be residential.
yeah.
And those special zoning.
Right,
So everything else is residential on that hillside,
Yeah.
single family residential, with the new state law allowing up to quadruplexes, if your lot's big enough.
Mhm.
That might be a little bit more, load than we expect, but really that hillside's full. And to the extent it's not full, it's gonna be houses that don't really gigantically increase our load each.
Yeah, this is Dan. So that is correct unless there is because you mentioned, if there's a zoning change, somebody comes in for a zoning change and buys up lots, houses, and decides to turn them into something else. That there's no way for us to actually to plan for something like that could happen.
But that's all, this is Jerry, that's always true. And if it happens, then they're also gonna be paying some extra
Yes.
for our client. So,
Yes.
Okay.
yes, yeah. So the entire cost is not bore by the district ratepayers.
So this is John with a question. If the pump capacity needs to be increased, do you expect that the electrical load will exceed the cable under the road, or that a new, larger sewer line would be required? I mean,
Oh, the one that goes
Would
down
we have to
under
tear up-
Pacific Avenue?
yeah,
Yeah.
under Pacific Avenue,
That's
just
yeah,
kind of
that-
wondering.
That's possible. We heard it was possible before.
This is Dan. So yes, all of what you said is possible. But we don't know the load demands that's gonna be required at this point. So currently, we're running 14 horse pumps down in there. If we have to double the horsepower, I pretty much guarantee you're gonna have to upsize your electrical feed lines, okay? But at this point, we don't know. We think the force main's a 6-inch force main that's existing in there now. That can handle quite an increase beyond the 30% capacity required. But there's still a lot of vital information needed from these hotels. Plus, we also have to take in consideration any new building that's going on will also have to be added into that if there is. So, until the hotels move forward with more information, right now, we're not anticipating having to upsize the sewer lines. We don't, right now, there's plenty of flat capacity of the gravity lines. That we
Talking
go
about the Pacific Avenue.
Well, everything from House on the Hill down, all those lines have to be looked at. Right now, currently, from what the engineers have, they're telling me we have capacity in our gravity lines, especially due to the elevation and slope that those are at.
Mm-hmm.
The only concern that they're really having, even if both these build out to whatever max they've already kind of, put out there, it's when we get to the pump station, are the pumps large enough, electrical feed large enough? Lastly, is the force main in Pacific Avenue large enough? Those are unknowns. So we're not anticipating what we see right now from just the stuff that was turned into the county, that the force main will have to be enlarged. We're not seeing that. The real question is, one, the older electrical feed line, and then also the pump size.
Yeah.
The control panels should all stay the same, but it's the draw on the electrical that is still the unknown.
And this is John again. I mean, in my mind, the pumps will be expensive, but if the road has to be opened up, that's gonna be very expensive. All the way from Simmons to the pump station.
And that's where I brought up, the fact is, when you go and upgrade your electrical portion, not all that would be borne by the developer. Because the
603.
district's gonna receive benefit out of that for other than just those. It's not gonna just help the two developers. So I don't know if it's an 80-20 split on something like that, but they will not bear the full load on that electrical. I do know that.
So we're in Dan's report
Thank you.
on the first page.
Yeah.
And it's been asked, and I'm not doing a very good job of it myself, but if you would identify yourself when you speak, it'll make it a lot easier when the notes are transcribed for the.
Understood.
So, please.
Okay, it's Dan. So we can move on to number 2,
Moving
pump
on.
stations? Yes?
Moving on.
Okay, moving on. There's been no changes for delivery. It's still holding at November 13th for the new generator for the Ocean Highlands pump station. I had a request from John Prather about the PUD easement clearing. I did finally get a second estimate from Bill Cloud, and his estimate is $6,000. To remind the board, the first one from North Coast was $15,000.
Yeah.
So, and this is John again. Jerry, you had mentioned something about maybe contacting PUD.
Oh, I was gonna, just have a phone call. you and I talked about this outside of a board meeting, and some other events have occurred that I have not done
Sure.
yet. But I still plan to just call their administrator or their chief engineer and say, can we just make this happen, or is this going to be a problem, and explain our situation. And also, I believe that Jeff, did